with what is obtainable in global community. So I thank all of you for your sacrifices. Yesterday, you left here almost 6 p.m. You are leaving here by 5 p.m. Despite the had to do today. So I thank you for your sacrifices. So Senator Abdullahi Yahya Abubakar will be the chairman of the conference committee, and Senator Abubakar Abdulaziz Yari will be a member. Senator Musa Mohammed Sani 313 will be a member. The Distinguished Senator Abba Patrick Omoro will be a member. The Distinguished Senator Abaribe Enyinaya Harcourt will be a member. Senator Onyebuchi Francis Onyebuchi, yes, Ezenwa Francis will be a member. Senator Detukumbo Abiru Mukhai will be a member. Senator Daniel Olubenga Justus will be a member. Senator Joel Onowakbo Thomas will be a member. Senator Asukwo Ekpeyan will be a member. Senator Mongunu Tahir, our chief whip, will also be there to guide. The Senator Jimmy Kuta will be there to add the voice of the new generation. Senator Olami Lekon, Adiola Solomon will be there to look at the appropriation side of the bills. The Distinguished Senator Adams Oshimole will look after the interests of labor in that conference. You will have to look at the interests of labor in these tax bills as we go into the conference committees. And then we also have the Civil Senator Babangida Owa, who worked either as permanent secretary work about. From the civil service point of view, you have completed your tenure, and it's time for you to look at these tax bills to know whether indeed really implement them. So you also conference committee bring the two. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate.
Well, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I guess what is left Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, what is left on my part really is to most respectfully thank our colleagues for the wonderful job they have done. Mr. President, it might appear to say that we are praising ourselves, but I want to place on record those continue to criticize us unnecessarily. I use the word unnecessarily because in a democracy it is normal for those who have sought politics and were elected into office to be criticized. We are not opposed to that. But when people falsify things about us, when people deliberately try to call us out as people who do not know tourism. And Mr. President, the tax reform bills we have just passed is a glowing example of how we work beyond of duty. It is almost 7 p.m. now. In the last, remain focused on trying to do these tax reforms. Let it be noted again that these bills were first presented to us in November of 2024, and we had our first reading November 2024. second reading. Assure the Nigerian public that having done the second reading, we are going to commit these bills to public hearing. Relevant stakeholders to ensure to the public. Mr. President, we had the first and second reading in November. I want to emphasize that between our second reading of this bill and today, we had different engagements with different stakeholders, ranging from the executive arm of government and people in charge of the Presidential Task Force to members of civil society and professional organizations, some of whom took part in our public hearing. There have been series of meetings, there have been series of engagement. Even as a Senate, we set up our own committee, seasoned senators who had engaged in various aspects of public life. Some had served as governors, some served as permanent secretaries, and different from to even be ourselves. Let it also be said that we chose not to grandstand on this. And the fact that in rounding up yesterday, we spent more than half of the day, a closed-door session. Why are we doing all of this? It is because we recognize that the times for our people, the times are unusual for our country and for the global economy. And we chose to remind ourselves constantly that this is not the time to stand. Time that as a parliament, we must do everything possible to cooperate with other arms of government in overriding to ensure that we are able to give the impetus and the legal framework governance in this. People should not mistake our an intentional decision not to grandstand for being a rubber stamp parliament, as some people will be eager to describe us as a parliament. So I just want to say that we believe that we have done what we did in the last 6 months in overriding public interest, and we are willing to do more. It's about our midterm in office at the 10th Senate. And we are focused as to what we are going to spend the rest of our time here doing. We are concerned about the national security of our country. And that's why listening to the Honorable Minister of Defense yesterday, describing as unnecessary our resolution to hold a national security summit, I thought that was funny. And my own message to the Honorable Minister is that it is our resolve, National Security Summit. I can now some of the security summits in the past did not go any far, because if the Honorable Minister in charge would even think it was not necessary for us as elected representatives of the to want to hold this summit, then I'm concerned. But we are consoled by the fact that we know that there is a new sheriff in town, an elected president, who understands the need to work with the parliament and who will not take for granted the rest of the parliament. I therefore say to the Honorable Minister, when it is time to hold that national security summit, stakeholders, and he should be eager to honor our invitation. And finally, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, let me just say that we remain focused. Having passed the tax reforms, we are moving on to work on electoral reforms. And we are moving on as well to work on constitutional reforms. We are very clear as to our mandate and our agenda, and we will remain undetracted and not allow any form of negative attitude or deliberate shenanigans, which in most politically motivated rather than being in overriding public distractors. We will continue to do what we have to do in the interest of the Nigerian people who elected us here, and we are not going to allow anything, not even us, distracting ourselves. We will come in here as serious people who understand our rules, who will guide ourselves by those rules, who know that we are privileged to be. The Senate is an institution and is bigger than any individual. I thank you once again on behalf of all of us. I'm sure you know, sir, that those who felt that by now this Senate would have asked you to step down have seen now that we are focused on what we are doing, and whatever the level of allegation against you, any one of us, we will always ask for evidence, and we will do what is in overriding public interest. I just want to thank you, and I thank all our colleagues.
Answered you. But for the fact that you said those who would have asked you to step down, who told you I was going to step down? You know, if you watch the color in America, there are some black people because of their skins who went to prison. Sometimes